and welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, describe the evening.
Well, it's the first one outside. Mm-hmm. It's with a brand new bottle that we were both kind of at least interested in. You know, it's always, I mean, especially one that you've never heard of, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Right? You've never even heard of that one. And that's just my lack of, I think it's our lack of, has that always been around is what I should ask before I sound really stupid.
Well, it's never been around as far as I know. I've never seen it here in Vancouver. It's, we got it because it came from Beijing.
Right. And
So,
that's what I'm thinking, you know, it's like one of those ones I've never seen around. So that's what I'm going to say. We just don't have access to it in
don't
Canada.
have access to this. Yeah, I don't know if it's sold through Canada or if we just don't have it here. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's probably just BC.
But that made it interesting because, of course, we had to head into this experience without really much knowledge. There's not a lot of reference. We never had a chance to drink it ourselves, and there isn't a lot written about it. I mean, there's mention of it in Mr. Broom's book, which I like, the Atlas of Whiskey, and there's a page written about it, and there's some historical notes and a few little things, and the main thing is it's been kept off the single malt market for some time because it's been dedicated to developing the Dewar's blends.
Right.
And that's what its intention has been, you know. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, it kind of makes it fun, that's for sure. And I think being outside makes drinking whiskey a lot of fun. So it was an exciting kind of yeah, it was an energetic night, and I think a lot of it has to do with being out in the late, you know, May and watching this helicopter come back.
It's coming back again.
Coming back
so
again.
the audio.
We have issues
Bad
tonight
enough.
with a helicopter
Now we have,
that's choosing to circle around this community over and over and over. So sorry about that, listeners. Sorry about that.
Anyway, back to the Brackla.
Brackla, the Royal Brackla.
Royal Brackla.
Yeah.
So it is exciting, and I didn't get to taste it too much, so I'm just kind of getting into it
Yeah.
now. And like
On the nose.
I said, yeah,
Crappy.
I did. I think, yeah, that's what I said
Crappiness.
originally, right?
Crappiness coming through
It
the
smells
nose
like it's
for
going to be
Jonathan.
crappy.
Yeah.
That's my descriptive.
So there's some contrast between Jonathan and I initially,
It's sort of true.
from crappy
a lot true.
to dried fruit. Take your pick. Depends where you are on the spectrum.
Okay, my initial every time I take it now, it just tastes like a blend to me. Well, it
Really?
doesn't taste like a blend.
Yeah.
It's got a little more than that, but it's just unsatisfying. There's a lot of that sherry coming through for me, which I'm not fond of. What else is there? There's a harshness to it, and it's
Is
it's
that
an
in the finish?
uncomplex, really uncomplex flavor.
You think that?
Yeah.
I would say it has a nice palate, and it has a nice fruity nose, and it has a little bit of a peppery finish, and you know that's why I think it deserves a 3. And I think it deserves a 3 because
Is it a peppery finish, or is it just like a harsh finish that bites you?
I don't know.
I think it's a biting finish.
you-
It's
you
not
feel that?
peppery like Talisker peppery.
Oh, I would agree,
It's harsh. It's harsh peppery.
but harsh.
Harsh like a blend.
Yeah.
I know. It's just not. I mean, it's
And the
still,
nose, and the nose doesn't carry you.
well, crappy.
But you
I
don't
know.
get the dried fruit on the nose. The sherry dried fruit.
I'm trying.
Come on.
Yeah, usually you can talk me into it.
I mean, but you've got to be getting something on the nose.
Yeah, no, the nose is better than, but it's still the sweet,
Yeah.
over the top.
A little over the top.
You know what you're gonna get when you taste it.
I would agree. 100% from the time, it's not even just, you read it, and then you smell it, and then you taste it. But that doesn't, like, that to me is not a bad thing. That to me is a beautiful, delicious, tender, nice whiskey, you know,
Okay.
I
Tender,
like
nice
the
whiskey.
I like the finish because I like that there's a little, just a zinger at the end. Nothing crazy, just enough to carry me though, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and again a 3. I don't know. We ended up getting this. Might have been an $80 whiskey from, which so a liter of whiskey for $80 is a nice.
Oh, it's never a bad thing to try.
and
I don't
again,
mean to say that.
No, and I'm just trying to throw some perspective on cost, because I don't know what it's worth.
Right.
I'd like to know what a 750 milliliter bottle in our market is actually priced at. If somebody could tell me in Canada somewhere, that'd be nice to hear, because that would give us a little bit of perspective in terms of
For sure.
cost and value, which are really important points, right? I mean, we don't make a lot of money, so we have to invest wisely in the bottles we buy, and that's where we are. You know, we're not $200 a bottle guys. We're $150 bottle guys, maybe once a year.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the rest of the time we're angling between $50 to $100 and trying to make the best that we can within that price market. That's our go-to range. So therefore our entire bar is constituted with bottles that are worth
Yeah.
less than $150.
Well put.
And
Well put.
most of them are thank you. Most of them are right around $80. Most of our whiskeys average out to be about $75 to $80 or $85.
Wow. It's hard not to spend 100 now.
It's hard. $100 is fair income when it comes to hoping for a 4. Hoping for a 4 is worth $100 investment. And you know, now there's lots of, there's so many people saying so many things, and right now our hit list is narrowing, in terms of what we want that we don't have that we would like to try. So that's fun. We've got lots of whiskeys to go, and most of them are really exciting, and some of them are
They're all
contrast.
exciting.
Yeah,
They're all exciting.
yeah.
I'm just not as easy on them all as you are.
Yeah, I would agree. You're happier in your palate zone.
Yeah, I am branching out though. I am expanding the horizons
Yeah.
a little bit. And that's the fun part about this, is that I'm finding scotches, and maybe they're like this Royal Brackla or the Chag.
Letchag, thank you.
Letchag.
Well done. Nicely done. There's another episode.
It's a fun one to have around,
Well,
just because it's brand new.
Yes.
And we're trying them all. And
Yes.
going back to the whole Scotch thing, the Scotch Club thing, that's what you've got to do. If you like Scotch, you can't be afraid to try them. You don't have
To
to like them,
continue-
but you can't be afraid to go out there and buy something
This
new.
is the whiskey trail.
Yeah.
This is the concept of the whiskey trail, which means that there's always another distillery down the road. There's always a new, ingenious method and a different style still, and a different type of water and a different microclimate. And if you don't try, then you're never going to expand. You're only going to intensify and fortify your own, palate. Which there's nothing wrong with going back to the favorites. But you have to balance that out with an equal amount of exploration. At least I think that's the way we're approaching it. And I think that's a healthy balance.
Yeah. You're never going to find the gems, and there's gems out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. No matter what, when it comes down to the technicalities and the specifics of different whiskeys and why you might like something and not like something. One thing that these whiskeys I think do really well, the sherried whiskeys, is, when it's bursting with life and it's springtime, I can enjoy a nice, flavorful, easy drinking, smooth, it just kind of feels like this time of year, sort of. Like, so if you kind of take it on that way.
For sure. But
It's
is
not
this smooth
invasive.
though?
Well,
I just took another sniff and it stung my nose. Quite badly.
injury on aisle 6. Johnny's down.
This is the King Scotch?
Oh no, here we go. Here we go. Wow. Okay.
Isn't that what it says though?
Yes.
Poor guy.
Henry IV didn't know what he was talking about. He
Yeah.
was persuaded by the beautiful
the wrong
grounds and the
distillery.
lovely lock sitting outside. What is it? There was a quote, something about, I won't read that one, but there was on the bottle it said something, in the book, in the Dave Broom book, I think it's Dave Broom, talked about just how idyllic the setting was where Royal Brackla was.
The website looked really nice.
It has, what? You went to the actual...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it
What'd
got
you
lots
see?
of really well, just pictures of the distillery.
pretty, eh?
Yeah, very pretty. It looked
Wow.
like it was in the middle of a forest. Most of them, the ones we like right by the sea, the rocks are crashing in. That one looked like it was just maybe on the very brink of Lothlorien,
Right.
to go all nerdy
That's
Tolkien.
quite beautiful, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, I don't know, Jonathan. I mean, I guess this is one of those ones where we beg to differ.
Yeah, but no, Yes, it's not my favorite. I would never buy it again, but you would agree with that. We're on the same page there, I
Yeah,
think.
I would agree with if it came down to this and there's other scotches I'd buy before it, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm getting to the point now where it's like, if you have a couple of sherry whiskeys on your bar, you're kind of covered.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah. You've got that.
You've got your
That's
Tamdu,
true.
you've got your Dalmore, you've got your now you've got your Royal Brackla. But I would guess now that it sort of sounds like that you might think this couldn't stand up to the Dalmore or the Tamdu then.
Yeah, if I had to say
just
right now,
from what
I would
you
say
know.
that. Yeah, I would say
Well,
not going to enjoy it as much as either one of those. And those aren't even my favorites.
No, I know.
So, there's a hierarchy and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, if you're going to have a whiskey on a late May evening, maybe Royal Brackla isn't the one. Because if you were going to move into a new, maybe it's time.
It is time.
I think it's time.
Comparison. Scotch.
So what's it going to be tonight, Gordy?
Well, Johnny, I think it's a pick'em. I think you've got to go with the sherried whiskey, and
Heavily sherried.
the heavily sherried whiskeys that we currently have on the bar are the Dalmore and the Tamdu 10, the Dalmore 12 and the Tamdu 10.
Right.
The Great Strutting Beast and the Oxymoron. the Can-Do Spirit. Yes. But both were lovely sherried whiskeys, and both it's sort of feeling like they might be a step above the Brackla.
The King Scotch. From here on in, we should refer to it as the King Scotch.
Or the Divine drink.
Oh, is it?
The Divine.
Doesn't it say something about the King?
Yes, it is the King's whiskey. It's one
The
of
King's whiskey.
It's one
right,
of
so,
4 or maybe 3 whiskeys that have ever been granted the Royal Charter.
What are the other ones?
It's a great question. There's one that is the Royal. There's a Royal Glen something or other. I just saw today because I looked up this one in the index.
Oh, to use the seal and everything, you
Yeah.
have to also have royal.
Yes.
Okay, because Lefroy's got quite a.
Yeah.
and
No.
I thought
Lefroy
that
has
Prince
a connection
Charles.
to Prince Charles.
Right. So they're not one then.
No, but I think it's his personal.
The
seal
Royal
or something.
Lefroy.
Yeah, I think Prince Charles is the Duke of Windsor, and it's the Windsor thing. It's not the actual. No, Windsor is the royal name. I'm a little out of my depth here, but I do know that this separates itself and is only in the company of 2 or 3 others.
Okay.
So that much is the history of it all.
Yeah.
So
Well, good for them.
Yeah,
But it
can't
is
take that
interesting why they chose that. Okay, so comparison Scotch.
back to the Dalmore or the Tamdu.
Really, that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that-
I mean, unless you've got something else
Dalmore,
hidden
Tamdu.
there, I mean, try and come up with another sherried whiskey that we have on our bar. We really don't have a lot that would do it.
How far off do you think the Highland Park would be?
The Highland Park's off because it's got
It's
more
still got
peat.
sherry in it.
Yeah, it's peat though.
A little
And
more
the
peat, not
sherry,
as much.
the sherry in the Highland Park comes off more like honeycomb than it does like sherry.
Mm.
So I don't like that one. That's why again, Tamdu or Dalmore.
Okay.
Not to boss
Flip a
things around
coin.
here.
I don't know.
Strutting
I'm not
Beast?
feeling really strong.
Or
Maybe we should do the Strutting Beast. I don't think we've done that as much as the Tamdu.
yeah, we probably should hit the beast. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so the Dalmore. Here it is.
Dalmore? Ooh, we have quite a bit of that.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
How come I have 3 glasses now? That doesn't sound good.
No, that's the Kalila.
Oh, right. You gave me a.
You're gonna
Shoot,
hit
I
that
should
before
not
you
yet.
do- no,
I
save
shouldn't
it
do
for
it.
sure,
That'll be
save it.
mean.
Okay, you ready?
All right, here we go. Dalmore. The Dalmore 12.
The Dalmore. Most colored.
It's the most
Arguably.
colored.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Look at that. Especially in the firelight. Look at that. That's just an excellent color.
But it actually is colored.
Well, I think it is.
Yeah.
How can it? I mean, we got to do some research. We should really have all that broken down in notes in the journal.
Yeah. Well, as soon as we go, bottle to bottle, we try to discover them as we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're more aware of it now. Now, the Royal Brackla, we don't know about the coloring. But anyway, that's not what we're worried about. This is comparison Scotch.
It's comparison Scotch.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Okay.
Dalmore.
Dalmore. Dalmore 12.
I don't know if it's been because it's been sitting by the fire, but it just smells warm. Has a much more pleasant smell, does it not?
Well, you're rating it above Crackby then?
I'm going up a step above crappie.
Step above crap.
No, it's not a step above crappie. It's not bad. I don't mind that. Okay, it's got more of the honey sweetness.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's a better sweetness. If you're going to go that route, go this way.
Richer, a little fuller. Okay. Yeah. No, it's really, really nice. Inviting. Wow. Way nicer finish, you're right.
It's
None
like
of that
velvety
harshness.
all over.
Yeah. It doesn't have any of that bite at the end. And it is a smoother velvety. Yeah, velvety is a good one. The velvet on the horns of the Dalmore strutting beast. The fresh spring velvet horn
There's
of
something
the,
going on
of
there.
the beast. There it is. I like it. I like that description. Oh, it's easy drinking, eh? It's delicious.
It's easier and it's nicer.
It's easier and nicer.
It's a
So
pretty.
if they're
It's-
each
there's not much
threes,
to talk about, really.
if they're each threes, the only way the Brackla keeps a 3 is if it's actually cheaper. Because if it's the same,
I think
if
it
it's the
probably
same
is.
price point as Tamdu and Dalmore,
Yeah.
then it shouldn't be a 3. It should be a 2. But if it's cheaper, then it could stay in the 3 range. That's my feeling. If we were to do some reviews or reconsiderations.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much of a competition.
No, it's not much of a competition. It becomes a discussion. What the heck is Royal Brackla actually worth on our market? And
Yeah.
if we could find that out, we could actually come up with some sort of a determination that would allow us to give it a 2 or a 3. Certainly not a 4 now,
No,
is it?
no,
So now
no.
all that discussion of me talking 4 in the video, but at least I made the right choice.
Yeah,
in
you
the
made
end.
the right choice.
Yeah.
You always do.
I did get a little caught up. Got a little caught up there.
Well, like you said, the nighttime. Look at the owl's
Yeah.
lights are on now too. The owl's eyes.
Big bright moon.
Oh, the moon's out.
Planets are coming out. So
Okay, so yeah, I think it's pretty cut and dry.
yeah, pretty cut and dry.
The Dalmore wins,
Dalmore
and it's not a win. It's
not-
not necessarily. It's not winning or losing.
outclassing.
It's outclassing. Yeah.
Outclassing, out character.
Didn't have to do much.
No, big old horns. Looked at you.
Mm.
You might be the king's whiskey, but I once saved a king. Or no, that remember
Almost
that
killed
story? Story about the Dalmore also had a connection with a king.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So even a more reason to choose this one as the comparison scotch. They each involved royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
That's right.
The Dalmore's heritage dates back to 1263. Wow.
The heritage,
Yeah.
not the.
No,
that's
no.
like the name, right?
Yeah. Distillery over a century saved Alexander from the fury of a charging stag. King Alexander III. In recognition of this noble act, the grateful king granted Clan Mackenzie the right to use a 12-point stag representing a royal in their coat of arms. There it is. So there's the connection between the Royal Brackla and the Dalmore right there. Well, should we move on? Is it about that time?
I think it is.
Quote of the night.
You know, and to think of the music that you use now and to look out on this night, you know, we're not quite at the point where it's dark and you hear all
Crickets.
the crickets, but we're getting there. I realize this quote of the night, I actually don't have a quote of the night picked out yet.
That's all right.
What I do have is a passage that I'd like to read. I don't know how much we can discuss the passage, but we can just see where it takes us. And then I thought if we needed to, we could draw on the quote of the night. And we could go with that very first one. There's a bunch there that we could queue up, but let's go with the passage. So
All right.
this book I've been reading lately, Michael Jackson, Scotland and its whiskies. And he's the reason I'm choosing this passage, and the reason why I want to share this is that I've just been so impressed with the way this gentleman writes, and he brings the landscape and the geography of Scotland together with his love of whiskey, and he really places the distilleries in their rightful position in terms of geography. So, and like I say, his writing is lovely, and it just, I don't know, it's nice to read something where you're not getting a review, it's not about a specific piece of information or a specific thing. He does a great job of bringing all of it together and doesn't need to acknowledge specifics. He just sort of allows the narrative to take place, and that's why I think everybody should read his work. He's really,
I like that.
He's really
Yeah,
something.
I think that's a big part of the whole culture.
Yeah, you know, it's it's about the people, it's about the place, it's about the the plants, the environment,
Yeah.
the microculture. It's about how people feel about this and their own personal contributions, and he kind of captures a little of all of that, you know. So I'll read this little tiny bit, and it just captured me because I thought it was just beautiful. So one midsummer evening, I went to the mouth of the Spey. It had been a good day, and it did not want to end. The midsummer sun was reluctant to sleep. It parted the clouds one last time to cast light, salmon pink, eau de Nil, on the waters, which swirled back and forth as the offshore currents tussled with the river. Bottle-nosed dolphins breached the surface. 4 mergazer ducks skimmed stylishly to a shingle bank. Swans bobbed on the waters, nodding mutely. Herring gulls screamed blue murder. The osprey, from up the river, had just scooped their supper. I was told by a bird watcher whose pleasure was heightened by my having missed the event.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, isn't it? Anyway, he goes on to talk about the bird watcher, and they had a little moment. But just his moment on that night in Spey, you know, like on the river in Speyside in this region, and you know, he just sort of brings it together. And so this is something that I've appreciated from reading this, is that this particular area is a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's loaded with distilleries. You cannot move in Spey without hitting a distillery, and you can go on these 60-mile walks where you can, you know, visit like, you know, 12 or 13 distilleries over a 3-day hike, and just stay at different ones. And I mean, the whole thing just sounds surreal and just like a whiskey lover's dream.
Well,
And, you know, so I mean, regardless of the Isla versus Spey, or the, you know, that just to go to Spey and to let it all go and just to let it open up and just get into it, I think would be so much fun to like put the backpacks on and head up over a mountain and come down into a distillery and have lunch, and then head out for an afternoon walk and end up for supper somewhere in a place to sleep, and just get into it and hear the stories and hear the tales and smell the flowers and look at the, you know, the place for what it is.
it's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you didn't get up to the Speyside region, did
No, but we had to travel across from Edinburgh to the coast so we
Right.
could go over to Isla.
you? So you had a little look-see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, Adam got married, it was close to Peebles.
Right.
And so that was outside too. So it was almost like it was a lot like going into Lord of the Rings set, where we stayed in this little hotel, and it was about 3 or 4 stories high. I was like the top floor. You had to take the stairs all the way, but there was this cute little pub downstairs, and we had our breakfast there. We had some lunch meals, you know, and they had great scotch and good beer. You know, it was a real comforting feeling, totally
Yeah.
different than traveling, you know, this side.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
That
it is cool. It's like you say. It would be a great place to go, and we should go. We got to
should
plan
go.
that trip.
The Wee Dram needs to have a pilgrimage. The Wee Dram needs to have a pilgrimage.
Although, without traveling all over the place, I'd really like to go to Skye now.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's you know, if you're going there, that's like quite out of your way. So
Yeah.
you're gonna need to make sure you take some time there.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean,
I think you can drive though. There is a bridge, right?
well, and you could maybe work
You
your
don't have
way
to
to
take the ferry.
Isla and then go up to Mull, and
Yeah,
then
I wouldn't mind doing
head
that.
up to Skye, and then come in the Western Highlands and, you know, head through that way, and then come back down or something.
I'm just taking a little nip of the Kalila. That's a different one altogether, but we don't have to get into that.
No.
But yeah, wow, that is much
I know,
better.
isn't it so good?
It's well, I mean, after coming off of those two.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. I mean, it's just shifted so much for me. It's such a learning process, you know, such a eye opener, right?
Well, it is an Isla though, like that.
We're losing track here, though. We can't be talking about Kalila, can we?
Why not? It doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, that drink, you're drinking that, and it tastes like an Isla, even more so than the Bowmore.
Yes.
Yeah, quite a
Because
bit
it has
more.
that seaweed thing.
Yeah.
It has that opening note.
It's
Bowmore
got peat
doesn't
in
do.
it, and it does have a little bit of smoke. Not a whole bunch, but enough to
But the
intrigue
smoke
me.
is consistent, and yeah, for me, the more we drink it, the smokier it gets. The more
Yeah.
you know, seaweedy it gets, kelpy it gets. It just doesn't have the bang.
Yeah.
It has all the things I love about Isla, but in a more subdued format.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about it most, the more I drink it, is how subtle and complex it is without
Yeah.
beating the big drum. It's just
For
doing
sure.
its own thing, you know?
Out of everything that we've ever had,
Yes.
has
Proven the point.
Has got better when it's sat.
That's right. The oxidization, or who knows, but you know, or us changing. It's difficult to say exactly why, but I'd definitely put it up to the time that it spent open, and it somehow matured, which raises an important point too, which is like maybe a touch of water and something like that would speed up that process. Maybe
Is that what it does though?
No, I don't know. I'm just
I heard
guessing right
opens
now.
it up, but maybe that's the same thing.
Maybe it's something that could affect that. The where are we going here?
Big bottle.
Back to the Royal.
Why not?
Hey,
Right?
bring her back.
No, I don't need this. You have this. It's one of your faves,
It is. I love it.
and that's totally cool. Whoa, that wasn't bad.
No. Do you feel the weight of the cork that I was talking about?
Yeah.
Just in your hand?
Well, it feels like there's a chunk of glass in
I
there
know.
or something.
I know. It's a well-built bottle.
Yeah,
The
it's
Brackla,
nice.
if it has a couple things, I like the Royal Navy feel to it.
That's
and I
what it
like
looks
the
like.
big built-up bottle, and then it just happens to be a liter too, which gives it even more.
Like there's a whole
Pump.
bunch of these kind of bottles at the bottom, like just off the coast of the UK, from all the pirate ships that sunk the British fleets.
That's right.
That's what it looks like to me.
That's right. With the King's whiskey aboard.
The King's whiskey.
Whoa!
It's a
Why
plane
is
this
he?
time.
Airplane's doing a big banking turn over us. It's another issue with coming outside for the podcast, is you have to deal with our environment as we deal with our environment. So we're all here together tonight up on the roof.
But it's still really beautiful.
Yeah, quite
There's
beautiful.
there's planets out now. You're right.
Planets?
They've come out. I
We
wish
got
we had a
planets,
telescope.
And yes,
Very nice.
quite nice. Quite nice indeed.
And the fire is keeping us nice and
Nice
toasty.
and toasty, and we have plenty of energy because it's just such a nice day out. It's a lot of fun.
Not bad.
No.
Springtime.
Makes you think ahead to where we're heading in a fortnight.
That's right. I believe it is the Dalwhinnie.
The Dalwhinnie 15.
So I, just to speak on a little bit of that, I remember, again, Mr. Critic, not being a super fan of that one. However, really excited to try it again.
Well, what was it that you weren't stoked about back in the day?
Kind of tasted like the Royal Brackla,
Brackla,
more or less.
Highlandy.
I mean, I have such a limited palate when it comes off to my favorites, so they're all, I throw them all into that category, and the flavor to me is more or less the same. There are variances in that flavor, but on a whole, it's just there's one essence to it. And,
Right.
and you know what? I was thinking about that, and maybe the stuff that I like has a different essence to it. You know, in its base, in its core, it tastes like this. The Brackla, the Dalmore, all the other ones they have a different flavor. And there's other little groups and combinations of those things, but that group to me, it always stood out to me as you're not different enough to be one of my favorites. You're not creeping into my top 10.
Fair enough.
It's really tough for a Scotch to do that. That's out there, other than, which I don't think is as good as the Lechag, but the Ben Riach.
Ben Riach, which
Yeah.
which is one we can get for about $80
Yeah,
at the BC liquor
I'm looking
store.
forward to that one.
I am too. I think that's one we put on our hit list. We definitely got to come up with that one soon. So one thing about the Dalwhinnie that I was interested to hear what you thought about was, it was part of the malt selection series, wasn't it? The
Classic malt?
classic malts of Scotland. Wasn't it one of the 5?
Was it?
I do believe.
Might have been. Yeah, I think it's
So
probably in
did
there.
that influence you at all? Either
Liking it
positively
more
or negatively?
because it was in the classic malts?
Yeah, just because it was considered one of the top.
Influenced me in the fact that I didn't really like it.
Influence you? I guess that didn't influence you. Then.
No,
Yeah, so
it
there's
wasn't.
the answer.
which is strange because we look at that and we think like, well, Talisker nailed it.
Yeah.
But
Lagavulin.
yeah, you know, they did a good job.
Glen Kinchy's in there.
Glen
too, though.
Kinchy was never a good one for
No.
me, and neither was. I mean, Craigenmore had more than the Glen Kinchy. Was a lot more than that, but
But that
and
wasn't
the
a classic
Aubin too,
malt.
which is another one that I really want to try.
Aubin is well, and
And there was a little one. It's called something
Aubin was
Bay.
great.
Is it Oyster Bay?
that wasn't in there, was it?
It's not Oyster Bay. It's something Bay.
Little Bay.
Little
Aubin-
Bay.
Aubin,
Is it Little Bay?
Yeah, yeah.
That one's a little more reasonable.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one might be
true
something
that.
that we should go into.
Maybe. I do just want to get the Aubin 14.
No, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
like,
but
I really want that.
you know, it's a starter.
I can't believe that we haven't bought that yet, to be honest. Because we always used to have that around.
And that's a classic malt.
Yes. And see, and this is my point, which is like with the Dalwhinnie, I think it influenced me to like it. And it was my dad's favorite drinking scotch. So that also influenced me, where I was kind of like partial to like make sure I had a Dalwhinnie around just in case Dad wanted to come down
Oh,
for
yeah.
a scotch.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, that's the one he gravitated to. So I have a
Yeah.
like a strong, emotional connection to.
I'm glad my dad picked Lagavulin. They're 16 now.
Yeah, well, my dad is Italian. He doesn't have Scottish blood.
That's true.
He can't be held responsible for his taste in whiskey.
No, but
he's
still,
into
if
his
you like it,
florals
you like
and
it.
his
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he was never into the hard hitters. On that note, Johnny,
Yeah.
another fun night, another beautiful night.
Good start to the outside season.
Good start to the outer seasons. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks again for joining us and
Yes.
putting up with us. And
Thank you for those of you that have subscribed
Yes.
to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. And any of your feedback and any of your support, or if you just want to talk or even criticize, we're all ears. We just
Yeah.
love to get into it and talk about Scotch and talk about whiskey and talk about all the things that you might have an opinion on. So please get involved. This is a community, after all.
indeed, and yeah, and a lot of those, good, solid, fair critiques are great.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
we do try to adjust the product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
So cheers.
Cheers.
Wee Dram.
A fortnight, we'll be back. And interweekly series too. Which seems
Wait,
to
there's more.
Wait,
There's so much more.
there's so much more.
We got big plans.
Well, you never know.
I don't know.
Hey,
They're plans.
hey, follow your passion. See where it leads. Yarr.
Royal Brackla.
Oh well. We tried.
Hey, it was a good try.
Yeah.